earth, air, water, and fire. The suits that appear in the Minor Arcana can be a bit overwhelming at first. What does it all mean? I woke up this morning and I was thinking about how important the suits are from an elemental perspective. Before you go memorizing a list of words for each one of the suits, I want to encourage you to get to know them as elements, and that's what I want to talk about today. So whether you're new to the tarot or you've been doing this for a while, working with the suits as elementals really brings us in touch with our own craft, with our own personage, and our own ability to connect with the tarot. Hey there, for those of you who don't know me, I'm April and I love the tarot. I have found it to be such an incredible portal into myself, my self-exploration, my alchemical self, and my craft. And I want to share that with you on a really deep level, and I'm committed to that on this channel. So as we get ready to dive into talking about the elements, I want to encourage you to grab your tarot journal or a pen and paper and to grab yourself something to drink. Let's nestle in together and talk about how the elements bring us into understanding the alchemical process that we're going through and what it is that the tarot is trying to reflect back to you so that you can get more out of your readings. When I first began reading tarot, it was the early 90s, and honestly, we didn't have a lot of decks, and we certainly didn't have a lot of books. I personally couldn't afford to buy the book that went with the tarot, so I just had the cards and I sat with them night after night, kind of diving into the symbols and just allowing my mind to reflect and really developing my intuition. And that's one of the reasons why I think that it's good not to really start out with books and to really let yourself get into the cards. It's very interesting to think about the elementals of the tarot and how they bring us into our bodies, into our life, and help us to understand how the energies that we're working with are moving us. For instance, Suit of Swords. The Suit of Swords is linked to air. And what does air do? Well, when it blows, it can be chilly. It can kind of cut you. It can bite. It can chill you to the bone. And sometimes the sword suit really does that. It blows hard on me and it reveals something. It cuts me to the bone. You know, sometimes it's something that blows me in a new direction, right? It can enliven a sail and sail us to new ports, to new places. When I think about the swords, I think about the element of air. I think about it even as breath, you know, the breath of life in and out. With every breath, we grow closer to death. And the swords have a special link to death, or what is ending, in so many ways. So, you know, what do you think of when you think of the element of air? So down below in the description box, you will find a PDF printable list of questions for you to journal on about the suits. Taking the time to answer these questions, the ones that you're drawn to, can really bring to light how you personally connect with the elements. It can enhance your craft, your spiritual walk, but more than that, it can really enhance the way that you connect with the tarot, making it personal, making it what it's supposed to be, an oracle of reflection and growth. When I woke up this morning, the first thing I noticed is that the power had gone out, and I thought to myself, what a blessing for today when I finished filming about the elements. When the power goes out, there's no electricity, there's no running water. It's a time of really getting back to basics and feeling how the elements would have felt to us in our ancient sense of self. So of course, the first thing I did this morning was build a fire. There's something so comforting about the fire and building a fire and having that really thick warmth that you just can't get from electric heat. The element of fire is linked to the wand suit. This is about comfort and power and strength and virility. Think about fire itself as an element. It warms us. It's something that we cook with, and yet it's dangerous when out of control. Get too close and you get burned. Just the right distance from the fire is required to stay warm. Just the right distance from the fire is required to cook things correctly. Some things need to be cooked slowly. Some things like to be seared first. It can have a destructive nature, quickly passing through towns and villages, but it also has a restorative power. Here in Oregon and even around the world, fires can sweep through and take out the underbrush. And what this does is it eliminates weed seeds. It creates a rich and fertile ash that falls to the ground and then creates the proper pH for things to grow in the coming year. Ancient cultures understood the power of controlled burning. What about controlled burning in your life? What kind of insights do you get when you look at fire as an element that is useful and destructive, warming, comforting, burning, renewing, life-giving? I want to encourage you to explore the element of fire, to go a little bit deeper into your consciousness and to understand what fire means to you and the different aspects of it. As you deepen your understanding of that element and how it plays out in your life, in the world, and how you feel about it, you can translate that into the cards. The element of earth. Oh, this is one of my favorites. We all have our favorites, right? When we look at the earth, what do we see? We see something above, and there are things that we don't see. There is a hiddenness to the earth, to the pentacles. The earth element draws us into our body, into the space of our being. The earth element can bring grounding to us. There's a consistency to the earth element. The pace of nature moves slowly and steadily. There's a real rhythm to the earth element. Where are you within your own cycle and rhythm in your life as you reflect on the cards with pentacles that are before you? This brings such a deeper level of understanding as where you are and what is being reflected in the cards when you take the time to remember the earth element, where you are within your cycle, what it is that you are learning right now about groundedness, about being, the understanding of incarnation. When looking at the cards before you, ask yourself, what are the hidden elements that are within this card, that are within myself? What is it that's below the surface that is wanting to speak to me through this card? What is it that is seen? What is above? Remembering that if all you can grab hold of in the moment is what is above, you know that is linked to what is below. That is a law of nature. And the pentacles themselves, the earth element, reflects the laws of nature. Water. How do you feel about water? Water is such a beautiful and mysterious element. It is essential to life on this planet. It is a part of who we are. We are made up of water. I'm lucky enough to live within walking distance of a river. So I spend time connecting with the spirit of the river. And I realize that while water is life-giving, it can take life away. It is a powerful force to be reckoned with. It's fascinating to me the way that water redirects and moves around and through things. When we look out on the landscape, we can see the areas of the land without water are devoid of life. Water refreshes and hydrates. It brings life to what it touches, but it can also bring death when there is too much of it. Have you ever felt like you're drowning in your emotion rather than being buoyed up by it? Every time you see the Suit of Cups, remember that it is the element of water. Connect yourself with that element within the landscape of the card. Ask yourself what it's bringing in your life at this time. Directly reflect on the question in relationship to that card and that element. Is there a scarcity of it? Is there too much? What kind of feelings are being brought? What kind of flow does this initiate? What kind of flow does this tell you that you are lacking in your life? Remember, connecting with the element of the card, the intensity of it, the offering, the shadow, brings you into understanding the transformative properties of the card that is being offered to you in this moment for you to reflect on. Remembering that the major arcana are archetypal energies, that is, they are major life lessons and incarnations that we walk through. The minor arcana, which contain the suits, are the adjectives to that story. They fill in the nuance of what's going on. They're deeply personal and they are meant to be resonant on a personal level. By drawing on the elemental aspects of the suits, you're going to bring yourself into the depth of what's being offered to you. You don't want to just simply look at the surface and say, that's a pentacle and it has to do with money. That's a rod and it has to do with creativity. There's so much more when we look at it as an elemental force in our life. How powerful is that force in your life right now? Do you need more or less of it? Is there flow or stagnation in this area? What is your personal connection to this element right now, or this aspect of self? Are you comfortable with it right now? Do you have an aversion to the swords because you have negative ideas about it? Does moving into it as an elemental force give you a different idea about how the swords or air is blowing you towards something or away from it? When you see those cups, do you realize that you're drowning in your own emotion and you need to bring balance in some other way? Do the other elemental aspects represented in the reading bring you to a place where you can find balance? It's my intention to go deeper into each one of the suits and do a video on them individually, but I wanted to introduce you to this idea, and I want to know how many of you out there already see the pip cards or the minor arcana as elementals. Are you working with the tarot in this way as an elemental aspect? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. You may be interested in these videos right here, or you may be interested in my other channel right here. As you move through your development with the tarot, I want to encourage you to be gentle and kind with yourself. If you're just learning, you don't have to know it all at once. You have plenty of time to discover the beauty and the depth of the tarot. It's waiting there for you. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.